we are creating a fun environment while on vacation for mom and dad to enjoy their time, but also the kids. Kids want to hang out with other kids. They want to play games. They want to run around. They want to do artwork. They want to do fun science. We do all of that, but with kids their same age. They get to meet new friends while on vacation. So it really should be guilt-free. Let us entertain.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Orthopreneurs Podcast. Today, I'm going to give you a glimpse into a world that you really don't know anything about. Now, if you're like me and you've cruised, and it doesn't matter what cruise line you've cruised, oh, I mean, it does matter, right? My guest and I would agree that it does matter what cruise line you cruise on. But if you've cruised anywhere and you've had kids with you, or you've enjoyed the sports, or anything related to family stuff, someone has to run all this. And today, we're fortunate enough to have Jeannette Loury. Welcome, Jeannette, to the Orthopreneurs Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. I am overjoyed. And for those out there who are wondering who Jeannette is, I have to look and make sure I get it right. She's the Director of Youth, Family, and Sports for Royal Caribbean International. Did I say that right?
You did. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm excited to have you here. Why? Because we've chartered an entire cruise ship for September for Orthopreneurs Summit. And the demographic we work with, the overwhelming majority of people who are part of Orthopreneurs have kids of the kind of world that you revolve in all the time. And I want them to know what I already know and what you already know, which is that going on a cruise for continuing education in and of itself is amazing, but to do it with your kids does not mean it's mommy and daddy duty for 3 straight days. And as a matter of fact, it can be one of the most satisfying cruises and vacations they could ever take. Could I work for Royal Caribbean with that line? I think
you absolutely can. You're hired.
I think I've been working for Royal Caribbean. So let's start here. I always like to begin by having you tell us a little bit about who you are and how did you end up where you are doing what you're doing?
Let's take it back. I actually started on ships.
Wow.
So my background is literally conducive to what I do today. I started as a youth staff, which we'll talk more about, but those are the staff on board that look after the kids.
I met one of those on my last cruise on our ship. I think a lot of them are from international.
Many international. Actually, it's fun that you say that. I'm from the States. I'm originally from Texas, and I was like one of 3 back then, and that was many years ago when I first started the company. So it is not very common that you'll find a lot of folks from the States, but it was such a great opportunity for me to not only do what I love, which was working with kids in a vacation setting, but it also allowed me to travel the world, right? So we get a lot of that. We'll get staff with great backgrounds, great educations, but they just want to pause before hitting the real world and maybe just do a little bit of travel, but still kind of tied to the passion and what they love, which is entertaining, and taking care of kids. So following that, I did that for 5 years. That's where I met my husband. And came to land, had a great opportunity to work for Royal, so staying with the company that I started with, and just worked my way up through this area. We're under the umbrella of entertainment because we are, in fact, entertaining, the youngest cruisers. And then I now oversee everything you mentioned. So it's all of the youth programming, anything we do for families, all of our sports and attractions and things that we can offer to guests when they sail with us. So,
and for my partner in business, Doug Shaw, wants to say thank you to you on behalf of the Flow Rider that he spent the entire cruise riding the entire time. The 2 people he wants to thank more than anybody are the ones who run the Flow Rider and who dispense the ice cream, because he'd have an ice cream cone and go on the Flow Rider. It was kind of like having a 12-year-old with you, but when you go cruising with Doug Shaw, it's ice cream and Flow Rider. That's the way it works.
What a great attraction.
Oh, it's amazing. What you've done is truly remarkable. And the newer ships, I mean, I can't even, like Icon, what you guys have done with the Icon class stuff is just crazy. But let's talk a little bit. There's so many places we could go here. We could talk about the youth jobs, but let's start from the broader perspective. Let's say I have the Orthopreneurs Summit. I'm going to come from a Wednesday night to a Sunday. And let's just say I have 3 kids. The youngest somebody can be on board is 6 months, right? You can't have children younger than 6 months. Correct. So let's assume I've got an 8-month-old, a 3-year-old, let's have 4 kids, an 8-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 14-year-old, right?
Okay.
Right? Because my wife really loves me and is willing to have 4 kids over 14 years. But let's assume I have those 4 kids. They're going to have very different experiences on board because, right? Can you talk a little bit? Let's start first with the 8-month-old. Is there anything that can be done with an 8-month-old on board?
I think my first comment was going to be there's absolutely something for all of them, which I think is amazing. And we're very proud to say that. So to start with the 8-month-old, we have what's called our Royal Babies and Tots Nursery. So we do have a dedicated space. And on Serenade, it's actually one of our largest nurseries in the entire fleet, which
Really?
we're very proud of. Kind of
Wow.
lucked out with that when we go back and what we call like revitalize our ships. And we take existing spaces and expand them and do things. And so it's wonderful as a brand that not only we continue to invest in our hardware, but for my area in particular, that the brand sees, we are a family brand. So the fact that this ship got the biggest nursery, we love, and the team loves. So we accommodate ages 6 months to 36 months, so just shy of 3 years. We're open literally almost all day. So on a C day, we're open from 9 a.m. until like 5 p.m. We do accommodate dinner times, but we do like a pre-sign up. Then we go into the evening hours and it's 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. So literally we cover the gamut of the day. And the same thing goes for the port day as well. And then for the port day, we are open literally straight through and we cover meal times for the kids as well. The one thing with the younger age group, while it is the biggest nursery, it does have the smallest, what we call staff to child ratio. So all of our programs for the younger ages, we work off of ratios to make sure we have the proper staffing to take care of the kids. So because it's the younger ratio, we do require bookings. So they have to book their time. We do a lot hours. So if you're coming on board and we have, let's say, 20 babies, we'll make sure everyone gets a fair allotment. We have a very intricate booking system to make sure we kind of share the wealth that everyone has their time for the kids to be looked after.
Right.
For the nursery, we do have a fee. It is $6 an hour for our daytimes and then $8 an hour for the evening for that younger age group.
Which is the best money any human being. If you told me, just to put things in perspective, let's assume my wife and I'm going to say, God forbid, because our kids are grown, God forbid, had an 8-month-old on our hands right now, and I want to go to Summit at Sea, and it's my only child. What you're saying is, I can come on the boat, I can book from say 9 a.m. till noon, and pay $18 for 3 hours. Go sit at the adult pool with my wife while she sleeps, and I have a drink in my hand and swim and enjoy and have ice cream cones and do flow rider, come back at noon, pick my child up, take them to lunch, get food all over these Windjammer Cafe, right? And
Yeah.
then have them booked. I can go from 1 to 5, right? Come drop them back off. And for another $24, my wife and I can go to the room and take a nap for 4 hours
Yes.
and be left alone, right? And then, so during this time period where the kids are being, and by the way, I want to be clear here. I did that with my kid when I was on the ship many, many years ago. And we'll talk more about this, but the kids are so happy that you have to they don't want to leave. They want to stay in there, which again, I'm not going to argue or fight that one. But what is the ratio in the nursery of kids to attendance? And if you can talk about I know anybody listening right now is like, yeah, but I'm a mom who doesn't like people to watch my kids because I don't trust anybody, right? Nobody's walking off with your child because it's a ship at sea. Nobody can go anywhere. And B, what is the ratio and what is their qualifications in order to be able to do what they're doing? And the last question, and I'm sorry throwing so much at you, if I've got 8-month-olds and 3-year-olds, right, up to 36 months, how do they delineate who's where and what, right? Like in a regular school, you'd have different classrooms.
Mhm.
How does it work on the boat?
Okay. So we'll start with the first one was qualifications.
Ratio.
Okay, ratio.
I
So
knew
we
I'd
do,
throwing too much at you.
yeah, it was a lot. It's okay. I got you. I'm back.
It's
I'm back.
okay.
So ratio is for our youngest age group, which is the babies, which would be 6 to 18 months, is a 1 to 3. And then our toddlers, which we go 18 to 36 months, is a 1 to 4. So
That's
typically what we
amazing.
do is and then if you have the younger age group, we tend to just age it down. So we typically operate around a 1 to 3.
Okay.
Um, and that, but let's shift into qualifications. But that's also very consistent with how, at least for us in the state of Florida, the ratios are for daycare centers and things like that. So our staff, and this goes for all of our youth staff, are required a 4-year university degree in either education, recreation, or a related field. In addition to that, we require at least 3 to 5 years experience working with kids of various ages, right? So not only do we require the education, but we definitely emphasize, and it is a requirement. We've turned many folks away. We really need that experience.
Yeah, and I suspect because Royal Caribbean is a very large corporation, any of us dealing with corporations know they're probably vetted very, very seriously, background checks, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
So with those qualifications, what would you say to any mom or dad, right, crosses gender? What would you say to a mom or dad who goes, you know what, how do I know that I trust these people?
Absolutely. So for our youngest, so for our Royal Babies and Tots nursery staff, we take it a step further. We've created a nursery training that all of our staff that operate within these spaces take an additional course in early childhood development on how to care for kids, within these ages. And it actually starts at the age of 4 months, even though shipboard we only accommodate at 6 months. So really these staff are getting this curriculum that goes above and beyond what we would even offer on board. It talks about, is it diaper changing, feeding, how to maintain a child's schedule. We get kids for 4 or 5 days, sometimes 7 days, but how do we help the family to stay on that child's schedule? So if you can imagine having 10 babies and toddlers and really working to say, okay, he gets fed at this time, she's getting fed at this time, we're going to try to put so-and-so down at this time. So really working around the clock to try to accommodate, what mom and dad or parents have set forth while on vacation as much as possible for the ease of vacation. But to
That's
set
awesome.
them at ease, really it is, you're on a ship, just what you said. If we give the families the peace of mind, we let them know this is our number if you want to call and check. We offer
Oh, so you can just call from your phone at your room
you
or
can
on the
call from
pool.
any of the public phones to check in. We also, for this age group, give the families, it's a ship's phone. So it's like portable phone. So if
Right.
we needed to call you, maybe we're having a hard time putting the child down for nap time, or mom said this is what they typically eat and they are not eating it, and we just have a question. So it really opens that door to allow that communication. But you are right there. You can pop in. The ship has, when you get to the door, there's a cute porthole, so you can kind of
I've
peek
seen it.
in to where the little one doesn't see you and wants to leave with the family, but you can still kind of peek in and see how they're doing. Are they interacting with the other kids? Are they isolating and
Yeah.
not wanting to participate? That type of thing. So really the peace of mind is the staff are trained, the kids do enjoy it, but you're also right there. You can be at the pool. I'm just going to pop to the restroom and then go check on the kids and then I'll come back. And that's okay.
Right.
That is
Yeah,
absolutely
exactly. We did exactly that. We would adult pool, walk past there with my ice cream cone in hand, look through the window. Everything's looking great. Don't let them see me.
don't let them
Go
see
back to
you.
the pool and just admire the amazingness of the ship. Maybe play miniature golf, climb, which you're in charge of as well. The rock climbing wall, the pools, the basketball courts, whatever it is. Are you in charge of the video arcade as well?
I'm not in charge of the video arcade. That's a
Good,
different
because
team.
Day of the Dead wasn't working well. I just want to say for
Okay.
the
Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time. So that's that age group. What's the next age group above 3 years?
So above 3 years gets to what we call our aquanauts. So it's ages 3 to 5. And that is
Okay,
our, like, right at preschool or just entering school age.
okay,
We have a ratio for that age group of 1 to 15, and they are separate. So the spaces on Serenade, so the nursery is completely separate. Then aquanauts and the older kids, which we'll talk about in a moment, are divided with a divider, but it's like an open floor plan. But we do keep the 3 to 5 separate, just for, they're on a different level when it comes to play and creativity. And we staff accordingly, as I mentioned. These are the kids, and especially when you get into like the 6 to 8, the 9 to 11s, these are the kids that don't want to leave. Your babies and your toddlers are still very young, so they
Yeah.
may have, more attachment issues to mom and
You
dad.
see the
These are the
hands
ones
out,
you say,
mommy,
yeah,
right?
these are the ones you sell with that you actually get parent guilt when you go and they're like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave.
I
That is
know.
the biggest compliment to us and our staff, that we are creating a fun environment while on vacation for mom and dad to enjoy their time, but also the kids. It's not anything against the parents. It is, kids want to hang out with other kids. They want to play games. They
Exactly.
want to run around. They want to do artwork. They want to do, fun science. We do all of that, but with kids their same age. They get to meet new
Right.
friends while on vacation. So it really should be guilt free. Let us
And to
entertain
be and to be clear, it's not take kids in the room, put them in front of a movie, and that's
them.
babysitting. It's
No.
activities. It's keeping them, and I think there's onboard activities as well on the ship itself that related specifically to the ship that the kids can do stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yes. So we do. We also at times try to, you know, lean into the destinations we're visiting, right? So, if you're doing, Caribbean sailing, some of the artwork may be geared toward that. A lot of our science, we'll kind of do, it's age appropriate. So for a 3-year-old, we're definitely not going to be talking about plate tectonics, but they can absolutely make a volcano, and we can talk very high level what is a volcano, just for them to also enjoy it and take just a little bit of what we call slight edutainment. So you're being entertained, but you are maybe learning just a couple of nuggets. But yeah, absolutely. There's just so much to do. We do movie viewing, but we would advertise that, and that would be our pajama movie night. And we would let you know ahead of time, come dressed in your pajamas. We'll do activities up until this time. And then this is the movie that we're viewing. But that only happens once per cruise, and it's advertised ahead of time. So that if that's something your child's not interested in, maybe that's not a session that you care to attend. But it's very rare that we would, not have kids running around very loudly, having just a really good time.
Nice. And so, what's the next stage above that?
So above that, we get into our 6 to 8-year-old group, and then our 9 to 11. And sometimes, depending on the amount of kids we have on board, it is very common that we would sometimes lump those together. On some of our other ships, we actually have open programming where it goes 6 all the way up until 11 and 12. But we do have the ability to split the room if the counts require it. And for the ratios here in this age group, we do more of a 1 to 25 from our staffing, for staff to children. And similar to
Yeah.
what I mentioned about the younger, the aquanauts, the older kids, we do active games, we do passive games, we do the science that I mentioned, we do art and a ton of creative programming. The team, the kids will put, sorry, the team will put together for the kids. Like a sports night where we take over the sports court, and the kids can go out there and do fun relays, traditional sports, but also get really silly with it. And our staff too, they just have such a good time planning and putting all of this together for the kids.
Yeah. It's so great to see the kids in the programs make friends on board. Like
Yes.
my kids made friends who, when we were at dinner, they'd see the other kids and wave, like they, Dad, can I go with so and so? Sure. It's a ship. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, where you want to go? I'm not saying do it with a 4-year-old, but if your 10-year-old kid says, "Oh, Dad, I made a friend. I want to go over here." Sure, go have fun.
So it's good that you brought up the 10-year-old. So the older kids, so ages 10, 9, 10, and 11, have the ability, parents can indicate when they register with us. So upon boarding, my recommendation would be register the kids with the program, even if you're not certain you're going to drop them, but just get registered. It takes moments. It's on an app. You do the registration up at the program, see the program, but then the older kids can actually be indicated to come and go on their own. So if it's something that you feel comfortable,
I
they're
remember.
allowed to sign out. The program closes, let's say 5 p.m. They're allowed to sign out. What we encourage is that the parents have, do you have a meeting point at 5 p.m.? We're meeting here, just to kind of, once again, set the parents' mind at ease. It's not the kids. The kids are not worried. It's the mom and dad that, we're going to be at this location at this time, meet us here. And it's very common that parents will give the kids that opportunity, that little bit of freedom, if you will, and it really, it is a contributor, and the kids wanting to come to the program. I'm able to come, and then mom says I can leave at 5. I'll sign out and I'll go and meet her at this location, which is a great it kind of helps, especially with the older ones.
Yeah. I remember that. So now let's just take it again, big picture. I've got a few kids, not a 6 month old, but I've got a 2 year old, a 4 year old, and a 7 year old. What are some of the best practices on this ship? What do you see most commonly when people come on board with their family? I'm sure there are families, and I'm not judging, who go nowhere near the youth activities.
Mhm.
I'm going to be with my kids the entire time. God bless you all. I'm not judging. You're just crazy. I'm just saying that out loud. All right. But aside from those folks who want to wrestle 3 children around a cruise ship, what do the most sane families do when they have 3 kids on board? Like those age groups, like how does it work? Do they typically have breakfast together, then drop them off, and then, or do they focus on one child typically and drop the other two off, or do they
No,
like
I mean,
what? I know it's all over the place.
it is all over the place, but I will say it's so, and that's why I say on that first day, it's key to get the kids acclimated with the space, right? Come up there, just see the
Agreed.
space, see the opportunities, ask the questions. What do we do here? Meet the staff. The staff have fun, kid-friendly names. We don't go by, Jeff and Becky. We go by silly names. My name when I was on board was Jitterbug. So just really silly to kind of, and even if the kids don't like it, it becomes fun, and then the kids pick at us, and we're okay with that. But really
Yeah.
getting the kids familiar with it. We see families that will, even if they just said, how about during the day we hang together, but at night, can mom and dad have a grown-up dinner? There are times throughout the cruise that we will offer kids dinner as well. We'll take the kids, pre-sign up. It's complimentary. You just have to do the pre-sign up. So the staff will let you know the days that kids dinner is offered. We feed them in the Windjammer, then we bring them back to the program and we start activities. But once again, it's kind of the families chatting and seeing what works for them, right?
Right.
We'll kind of push and pull because there are families that I get it. You maybe want to spend some time together. Let's do pool time together for an hour, but then can you go play for a bit because mom wants to go to the spa? Absolutely. And we're here to accommodate all of that. That's why our hours are so flexible. I didn't mention, so I should say, our older age group is also open from 10 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m. All the way through the day, as I mentioned, is all complimentary. Our 10 p.m. onwards for the older kids is considered after hours, and that does have a charge. It's $10 per hour per child from 10 p.m. onwards. But everything else is complimentary. Anytime we
And
do
what
meal
is that?
times.
Can you explain what that is from 10
Yeah,
p.m. onwards? And what age group are we talking about?
that is for ages 3 all the way to 11.
Got it.
And
So
that is, so we
it's just
call
an
that,
extension of what they were already doing. If it's
it's
but the
extension of what
teen
we're,
but
go
to be
ahead.
clear, the teenagers typically are not going to go to you. The teenagers are going to go to the teen club, right? Which is not
Correct.
the same thing.
Correct. That's separate. Let me mention something about the after hours and then we can shift to teens. For
Yeah,
after
please.
hours, it is an extension of what we do during the regular open hours, the daytime hours, we'll call it, into evening. But we really drive it a lot of like almost like the kids get to choose what was a game or an activity that we participated during the day that you loved and you want to do again. Or we do, tournament style of some of the really popular games. We have a game called Gagaball that only exists at sea. It is so bizarre. The kids go bonkers for it. It's super fun. And we do tournaments into the night where you can win like a Royal Caribbean gold medal. I mean, you would think it's real gold. That's how wild these kids get about it. And we do that into the late night. And really just giving that opportunity for parents, maybe on, when you're back at home, you don't have the opportunity for date nights or it's not your thing. You can do that. Go and have an adult dinner and a show and guilt-free, knowing that your kids are having an absolute blast. And same thing, you can check on them. You can call and check on them. You can pop in and check on them. You're not forbidden to come and check on the kids. And 9 times out of 10, they want to stay and they want to hang out with us.
Again, the point I'm trying to make to people out there is forget the summit. Let's say you want to come on the summit. And again, it's up to your accountant and you what you can write off and what you can't write off through the business. But to be able to go on a trip with a family and pretty much do whatever you want to do, get great meals, go on date nights, not have to go to source a babysitter, right? Where if I take my wife to say Playa del Carmen with my kids, I have to go trust a hotel babysitter and they're going to stay in my room the whole time, or I'm going to put them in just one room that they're not going to leave the whole day. It's just a totally different ballgame. And would you agree that if somebody would trust a babysitter at home, then all the more so they should trust this?
Absolutely. And I think they're also amongst other kids, right? So
Right.
other families have put the trust in the program, in the staff. So it's also that peace of mind there, right? That they're with other kids. And then if it's not working out and it's not for the kids, the staff are not going to, keep a crying child and hold them against their will. We'll find a way to get a hold of the parents. We'll find where they're dining, come and check in. But typically that is not the case. The
We
kids,
had one like that.
yeah.
We still have one like that, and all our kids are at least 20 years old. But yeah, I mean, it happens. Like, there are kids where, it's hard for them, but the overwhelming majority of the kids do fine with it.
And the
And
staff, they really try to find what is it your child is interested in, right? I have a very introverted daughter, and then I have one that's a social butterfly, and she'll let the staff know, like, I really like to do artwork. So they'll be like, okay, let's do some artwork. And they'll really kind of work with her to make her feel comfortable, because they know it's about the guest experience. We really want the parents on board to truly enjoy their time. So what can we do to make that happen?
yeah. And, as we start winding it down here, Jeannette, first I want to say thank you before, we're finished, because you're an amazing resource. And just talking to you helps me realize, and again, it's self-serving, but for a good reason. If you're somebody who has kids and you want to get great continuing education and you want to be around your peers and make your practice way stronger and way better in an amazing way, and bring your kids on a vacation where, remember, the lectures on this trip are only on the first day and the third day, the 2 at-sea days, and they're only from 8 to 12. So, put the kids, I would just say mom or dad, whoever's going to the lecture, wakes up, puts the kids in kids club. The other one gets to sleep in. The other one picks them up at noon, and you'll go have lunch together, and then drop them off in the afternoon if you want to, because they're going to want to go back and go enjoy an afternoon as adults. And then the next day in Cozumel, as a family, go tour all of Cozumel as a family, enjoy yourself, come back, have dinner as a family if you want to that night. And then the next day, repeat again. And so you get a couple of really nice private dinners, you get nice family dinners, you have some nice lunches together. It's about moderation. I wouldn't recommend to people to come on the ship, drop the kids at 9 a.m., pick them up at 5, or have them there all the way through dinner. And then, and then go out to and not see your kids at all.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, if I can just mention, we also have great family programming throughout the ship, right? You mentioned the rock wall. We do have the sports court. We do silent party. So if you've never done this, it's such a fun thing.
It is so weird.
Where you get to pick your channel.
I call it silent disco. It is the weirdest, funnest, strangest thing.
People watch there. It's
my God, I did not dance. Basically, I'll spill the beans here a little bit because we're going to do it on the cruise. But it's in the back of the ship, in the schooner, not schooner lounge. What do you call the one in the back?
Sometimes they'll do it in the Viking Crown Lounge. Sometimes they'll do it in the secondary lounge. So like Colony Club. Yeah.
It's a secondary lounge. It holds several hundred people. And basically, there's over-the-ear headphones of 3 different frequencies. And each frequency has a completely different dance tune to it. And so everybody has headphones on listening to music, but there's no music being played in the room.
None. It's
so
silent.
Everybody's dancing, but they're dancing to completely different songs. And you can only tell based on the color of the light on the headphone what they're listening to. And and if you're not part of it and you're listening, all you hear is feet stomping the ground. And it's the funniest, most enjoyable thing to watch. And so
we'll do that for families, and we'll also do that for teens. And I feel like we didn't mention teens, so I should probably mention that.
Sure.
We do great programming for teens. We have a teen dedicated space. Teens are treated very different. We treat them like young adults. We know they're way too cool. I could never be as cool as to be a teen. I'm not quite
They
sure.
won't let me into my kids would never let me go with them. I go to the teen club, like, hey, let me drop you off. No, Dad, I'm okay. I'm like, oh,
they come and go. They follow their activity, planner, kind of pick and choose what they want to do. If it's a sports tournament happening, if it's just a meetup, if they're doing like gaming, because we have great gaming consoles they can check out, or if it's just maybe it's a fun teen trivia happening or scavenger hunt. We'll do really fun stuff throughout the ship, but really does allow like for like ages to kind of meet up and participate in different activities while on board, and give, same thing, parents that peace of mind of knowing I don't have to worry about entertaining my teen. Why don't you go check out what's happening with the teen club? So thought I would add that.
So Jeannette, you mentioned that the hours of these clubs are basically 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And, our lectures on the at-sea days are generally from about 8 to 12 or 12:30, something like that. There might be some single moms or dads who are traveling with some kids and they need the kids put in the. Is there anything you can do to accommodate to help make it easier for us?
Absolutely. I mean, especially you've charted the ship. We
Yeah,
can do, an 8 a.m. open. That's easily, we can accommodate that. And
that's
then, yeah,
great.
we're open through 5 p.m., but, for whatever hours they want to pick and choose, but we can absolutely do the early hour and even a smidge before that so that they're there in their seats before the lecture starts at
Oh,
8.
that's amazing. Folks, do you hear this? The ability to take your kids, drop them off. Now it gets even better because if I was there with my wife and our kids, can you imagine me waking up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, which I'm insane and I do anyway, going to work out, coming back to the room, taking the kids, dropping them off at 7:45 or so at the kids club, and then let my wife sleep until noon, and then I pick the kids up and go have lunch with them. I will have brownie points forever and ever. And the best part about this is what people don't know, and I'll give them a little secret, is that when you charter a ship, there's a lot that gets customized on the ship for us. And it was kind of funny because when I was walking through the ship on our sort of shakedown cruise, when we were there for a few days, really just feeling out the ship itself, the person who was walking us on the ship, I said, the casino is beautiful. I said, can we make the casino smoke free? Because, if someone wants to play slots or craps or blackjack, whatever they're playing, they don't necessarily want to be around somebody smoking. And cruise ships are notoriously filled with smoke on the casino. And she turned around. I'll never forget this. She looked me in the eye. She stopped walking, turned around and goes, Dr. Krieger, this is your ship. You can do whatever you want. And
Absolutely.
it was at that moment I was like, wow, so we can have a smoke-free casino? She said, absolutely. So good. We're gonna have a smoke-free casino.
We're
And
here.
so for anybody out there listening, you'll have early childcare and you'll have a smoke-free casino. So there you go. I hope anybody listening out there understands this is a meeting they have to go to. And I'm going to tell you now, opsummit2024.com. That's opsummit2024.com. Go sign up and register. As of the recording of this, 9 of the 16 categories are completely sold out. And if you didn't have enough good reasons, like remarkable continuing education to make your practice better, to make your life better, to lower your stress, to increase your productivity, the ability to spend time with a ton of your peers who are going to give you great insights on how to run a better practice so you can mastermind together. If the amazing food, the drink, the sights, and a ship on the ocean, or at least not technically the ocean, it's the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think we ever leave the Gulf of Mexico. But so it's an amazing ship. If that wasn't enough for you, the miniature golf, the rock climbing walls, I mean, the specialty dining, the spa. By the way, I kind of almost embarrassing to admit, best pedicure I ever got was on that ship.
Ooh, nice.
Just saying right now. If that wasn't enough, Jeannette is hopefully giving you another good reason here, which is bring the kids, have a great vacation, and know that they'll be really well taken care of. And if you don't bring the kids, fine. You'll have a great vacation anyway. But this is meant as a gift to everybody out there to have an educational event where whether you're alone with somebody you care about or a family, you're going to have an amazing time. And I think you've painted a picture that it really is how you want to customize it. Thank you so much, Jeannette. And anybody who's unhappy with their experience, just let Jeannette
Let me
know.
know.
If you
Let
don't
me know
have good
how
ice
to work on
cream,
it.
if the ice cream is no good, reach out. Remember, her name is Jeannette Loury. Let them know that the miniature golf balls were the wrong color. She wants to hear about that all day long, I have no doubt. The miniature golf is amazing. I
It's
have to say, I
amazing.
love that.
It's
That
always
miniature golf.
busy. It's so fun.
Well, the thing about the miniature golf, I'm sorry for extending this, but the miniature golf, what people don't realize, for me, it's hard to just sit in a lounger and just get sun the whole day, right? And you want to get sun, and you want to feel the breeze blowing through your hair, and you're in a bathing suit, you just want to walk around in flip flops and just have a great time. But the miniature golf is a great place to have a conversation.
Yeah.
To me, you're with a friend or friends, and you're lightly hitting the ball and just having like great conversation. And I
Isn't the best
really
business
enjoyed
done
that.
while golfing? Why not miniature golf?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you again for being here, Jeannette, from the bottom of my heart, and really looking forward to the ship. And I hope everybody who's listening also gets to enjoy it as much as I do.